All right. Welcome to the Strong John Fitness Podcast. Today's episode, I have a very special guest. If you've already seen by the title, I've been a fan of hers for a few years now. She puts out amazing content on Instagram. Super excited to chat with her. This is Miss Marci Nevin. How's it going today? How are you? Thank you for being here.
It is going well, John. Thank you for the warm welcome. I appreciate it. It's hard to believe that I've been putting content out on Instagram for that long. I mean, even longer than that, really, but I feel like it's probably the infographics, which is what helped my account grow. And that's where I would assume, came across me. But yeah, it's been a wild ride. I think it was 2017. May of 2017 was my first infographic. So it's been almost 4 years. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
Time flies. And you've got a baby before, so you know.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. May 2017, I would have been 6 or 7 months into running my own business. So like fresh, like a baby on Instagram, posting for business Instagram, I guess. Cause like when I had my personal Instagram account, it was like, hey, I do coaching, follow this page, which is like not good at all.
Well, it's so interesting because I was doing the same thing and I had no idea how to run an Instagram page or what people wanted to see. So my running joke is I was posting poorly lit food photos, my dog, and my workouts. And that was pretty much it. And I was like, why am I not getting clients?
It's true. Do you ever look back at like your old posts and just cringe at like what you were posting and like,
oh my God,
no formatting, the poorly lit pictures, like you said, the filters.
So bad. Yeah. So bad. I don't want to go back and delete everything. Like a part of me does, but a part of me is like, this is just part of it, So we all grow and evolve and get better and learn. And it's kind of nice to see that evolution. But I'll tell this story for anyone who is interested in the business side of things. Jordan Syatt is a mentor of both of us, right? So are you still in the membership?
No, actually I've never been in his membership.
You were never in the membership.
No, I'm just a huge fan of his.
Oh, I apologize.
No,
okay. Well, anyway, I'm in Jordan's mentorship, but he became a real mentor of mine probably around 4.5 years ago. And I started just doing his training programs. And then he started talking more about business. And I was in his inner circle, which is his fitness membership site. And I was running a program in there and he was doing a giveaway, or not a giveaway, but like a challenge, right? So the winner of the challenge would win 1 free month of coaching. It could be nutrition, training, business, whatever. So I was the winner and I chose business coaching. So we get on a call and this is right around the time when all of the infographics were taking off. And John, I have a degree in journalism from the University of Oregon in public relations and magazine editing. And I was so bad at the editing part of things that I had to have other people do my projects for me. Like my Photoshop and my page maker is like, I don't know how to figure this out. Can you please do this? I'll pay you. So when I see these infographics coming out, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I don't want to have to do it. I'm not creative. I can't figure those things out. So I get on this call with Jordan and he was doing them, obviously, like him, Carter, Sohee Lee, who's my best friend. So I was kind of like comparing myself to her. And on the call, I was like, so Jay, do I have to do this infographic thing? He's like, you don't have to do anything, but I would highly encourage it because if you can get on the train now, like you're going to be set. And I was like, okay. He's like, so that being said, I want you to post your first infographic by Thursday. And I think this call was on Tuesday. But the other funny thing that he said, and this was a light bulb moment for me that I will never forget. He's looking at my feed and he goes, talk about poorly lit food photos. He's like, so Marci, here's the thing. Those Brussels sprouts that you posted, I mean, they look fucking delicious, but no one is going to share a picture of Brussels sprouts. And I was just like, boom, like that was it. That was it. It changed. That quote or piece of advice changed the trajectory of my business. So I put up the most god awful infographic 2 days later and it got like 900 likes. And I think I had a following of like 1,100. And I was like, I'm onto something. It's working. And then, yeah, I just kept going from there and talk about evolution because, oh man, they were bad at first. But yeah, I just got better and better. And I mean, it can be a metaphor for anything in life. You know, you just keep showing up and put in the work, and eventually you are going to improve and get to where you want to be.
100%.
So
Yeah. That's incredible. 900 likes with a following of 1,100 would never happen on Instagram in 2021.
Yeah, and on the ugliest infographic you've ever seen.
Hey, that's the thing. It's shareable. So like thing that I've noticed with content, it's you can have shareable stuff or you can have stuff that people just double tap and move on.
Yeah.
Like some of the most liked photos I have are my wife and my kids. Like people sometimes will double tap for me. Nobody really wants to see me in the pictures. They don't really care. But like the tweet sharing that happens now, which is super popular, and even some infographics are still popular. Like those are shareable. They spread like wildfire. But
yeah, it's so interesting because those tweets have been amazing for me. You know,
doesn't it find it odd that like a screen cap of another app goes viral on another app that's an image sharing app, but it's all words on a page? Like
it's crazy. Like some of my best performing posts or posts that have gotten me like a flood of training inquiries or like applications from tweets. Yeah. Knock on wood. I mean,
yeah, seriously.
You know, things are always changing, but you never know. But yeah, I still use it to this day.
Yeah. I mean, Jay was like ahead of the curve with the infographic game. I missed most of the growth bubble on that. I mean, I got some. I was going hard on them. The way Chad Hargrove, made killing with infographics. Now he switched to kind of the tweet style. But it's just yeah, if you want to grow on Instagram for any potential like online coaches out there, your content has to be shareable. Like people like food pictures, but people aren't really sharing other people's food pictures. That's a weird thing to do, I think.
Oh yeah, exactly. And I will say that's what's good about the stories. I have a very hard time showing up in my stories. Like I'm like, my life is so boring. It's Groundhog Day. No one wants to see like the same walk that I do every single morning. But I get these messages from people like, I love seeing your walks. And I'm like, okay, then I'll keep doing it. But again, just like showing the consistency, right? But yeah, so it is nice that you have stories to share more of the behind the scenes. Things don't have to be as curated and look as perfect for the feed or as they do for the feed. And I think people like that realness a little bit better. We're kind of moving away from everything needing to look so picture perfect. People want that realness, which is nice. But yeah, so it's like put your best stuff on your feed and then share the food, the dog, the whatever, your workouts in the stories. And that's like the best of both worlds. And then now they've got the freaking reels. Oh Lord. I've done a few. I'm definitely not, those aren't really quality either, but I'm trying.
I've wanted to jump into like reels and like TikTok, as hard as that is to say. Because there are people on there who are trying to lose fat or get in shape or whatever it is. And in both of our target markets, I'm sure it's just about like creating the content that's different than stories, that's different than feed. It can be a lot, especially if you're running your own coaching. I'm sure you're doing a lot of like admin behind the scenes stuff. Like it's not necessarily easy to be all the hats at once.
Right. It's so challenging. And mad respect to you, my friend, when you've got a 4-year-old and a newborn running around. Like, I don't see how people with kids who are also running a business do it all. Like, I don't have any kids, and I still feel like I can barely keep my head above water some days. It is a lot.
It's challenging for sure. I think I'm lucky where like the infant stages of my online business happen as my firstborn was like an infant and growing up. Like my Strong John Fitness turns 5 this October, and my son turns 5 in August. So like in the beginning, the first 2 years of his life in my business, like I'm sure I didn't know what the hell I was doing. The last couple of years is more systems. I've had business coaches help me along the way. I connect with other parents, kind of share tips on how they do it. But just like anything, just like fitness, you need some structure, you need some routine. You're very good at showing off your routine and your rituals and your stories. And I think that's why people go to your page so often and comment on your stuff is because like you're showing, even if you think it's boring, because I think we all think our own lives are boring, but other people clearly want to see what's going on with us. You're showing up every day. And I think that's what a lot of people miss, right? They don't show up every day, whether for their fitness, for their health, whatever it is. So I think that's why you draw on so many people.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. And my first business coach was a woman named Jill Coleman. And oh gosh, I started her mastermind probably around 6 years ago, or I think in May, 6 years ago. And this was before the infographics. It was before Reels and TikTok and, any of that. So I was just putting out content the best that I could. But, I still get a lot of advice from her and follow, like her podcast now and what she has to say. And that is one thing that she just hammers home all of the time is what is boring to you is not to other people. And they almost look forward to it. It's this weird, like, soothing type of experience. Soothing may not be the right word, but like if I know it's predictable and people like that predictability and like almost like the sense of like safety in a way. So it's like, okay, I know that every day I'm going to see on Marci's stories, like her walks, her journaling, her coffee, and they like look forward to that. Like, even if it is boring,
The shared experience.
And like there are people, what? Yeah. Shared experience.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So and I was like, okay, I guess there's something to it. Just keep doing it.
Yeah. It's like people who maybe are inspired by you want to follow in what you're doing. And that's probably why they might just look to see your story every day. As boring as you might find it, it could be the missing piece of their puzzle. Like they want to do those daily walks, but they haven't been able to do them. So you're inspiring them to just, as boring as it might seem, just do them. That's kind of what fitness is, right? Just show up and good things will happen more times than not.
Exactly. Yeah. Speaking of stories, I took a picture of you for my Instagram stories because, behind the scenes of the business, showing people. I got a good picture of you.
Thank you. Perfect. Mid-sentence with a weird face. I'm sure that's how it always turns out.
Maybe I'll retake it.
It doesn't matter.
I'll make you smile.
I'm very much the like no filter. Anyone that follows me knows that like you're gonna get the raw version of me. I don't BS people. I tell people how it is. And I think people like that. I think there's been so much like, and you could probably speak to this because I think you've been in the industry longer than me. Like the fitness industry is plagued with bullshit, to put it lightly. Like there's so much misinformation, so much snake oil sales going on that I think people now especially are looking for leaders who are just going to tell them what they need to hear, not try to sell them something all the time.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. How long have you been in the industry for?
Oh, well, I guess it depends on what you consider the industry. So I started personal training. I got my personal training certification when I was in college. So I was 21, I think, when I became NASM certified. And then I was working at a 24-hour fitness during the summer, and I was trying to train people, and I had no idea what I was doing. Like I was so into fitness myself, but it's different when we're trying to actually train a different person or another person. And then the other thing, John, which is so interesting, is it was selling. Like it wasn't just, oh, here's a client. It was, you have to do these, they were kind of like interviews in a sense where someone would come in and you would have to do an intake with them, just like I would do now on a potential client sales call. So you get them in front of you. Okay, what is your goal? What have you done in the past? Like what's not working? Injury history, like diet, all of this stuff. And then you would try to sell them on the 24-hour fitness supplements that they needed, in order to get their results. Like you have to have these. And then you would try to sell them on personal training sessions. And it's so weird at the time. Like I didn't know that I was selling. And we had some trainings, like the district manager would come in and he would do trainings on the supplements and like how to sell and all this stuff. And I will never forget, gosh, this is so embarrassing. Again, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I'm just a college kid who just wanted to help people work out and get in shape, And we were sitting there in a staff meeting, and I didn't have any clients at that point. And this guy, he says, so he's like going around the room and like talking about like how well people are doing. He gets to me, he's like, and then there's Marci. He's like, I don't even know why she's still here because she's not selling anything. And I was like, oh my gosh, right? And I was like, look at me now, buddy. You know, I would love to go back to him. And perseverance, though, don't let other people, you know, tell you that you can't do something or stop you from, you know, continuing to go. But anyway, so yeah, I'm 37 now. So what? It's a long time, 16 years. And then after college, I was like, yeah, I'm not going to be a personal trainer. So I got into outside sales again. And that's when I realized that what I was doing at the gym was really sales. And I did that for a couple of years. Then I got fired from my second sales job. And I was like, well, I got to figure out what I'm going to do in the meantime. So, or I need to figure out what the next step is. So I went back to the gym and I started training people, and thinking it was just going to be like for a couple of months until I figured out the next step. And here we are, you know? So it's been a year since I've been completely online because the gym shut down. But I was training people from 24 to 36, I think.
Amazing.
So yeah, long time.
Seasoned veteran in the space for sure, and a great role
Mm-hmm.
model. It's interesting you bring up sales in the gym. So my beginning, I think, so I had it easy, but I didn't. So I worked at LA Fitness, and I didn't have to do any of the sales for myself. They have the sales consultants, and then they sell the programs. Then they send the people over to the whatever trainer they think would fit. So in a way, it was easy for me because I didn't have to do any sales. I just had to train the clients. But then when I wanted to go off my own, I'm like, okay, I have to learn how to sell now. Like I have no idea. I'm not like the pushy salesman type. I'm very much, I consider myself a really nice guy and maybe too much of a people pleaser.
Me too.
So like trying to learn sales was tough. Like my first phone sales call, I was probably shaking on the phone. And this was four must have been 4 years ago now. But I used to try to just sell through the DM. That was my way. If someone inquired, but just messaging only, I wouldn't get on the phone. Now, fast forward, I'm doing all my calls through Zoom. I'm looking at the person, we're chatting, I'm more comfortable, which is, it feels great that I've like kind of come around full circle and like learned the process. But I've talked to other coaches, and maybe this helped you as well. Is like you had to sell in the beginning, so you found that helped you build that skill throughout your career.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting for me because I've never really minded the selling on the phone because I think that I do a good job connecting with people once I have them in front of me. And that's a skill that I developed, I think, through training, because here would be these people who would come in off the street, you know, I don't know who they are, and I would have to develop a relationship with them. And being in a gym, especially when you know, may not be in great shape, you're overweight, you haven't lifted before, that can be very intimidating. So it was my responsibility to make these strangers essentially feel comfortable in my presence. And I think that is a skill, you know, and it's not what, I mean, I probably was terrible at when I first started, you know, I had no, it's just, it's interesting, like looking back, you're like, oh my gosh. I think we were talking about that. I don't remember if it was before we got on the call or before we started recording.
Yeah.
But you look back at like the things that you say or have said in the past, you're like, oh, that's really, really embarrassing.
Yeah.
And Jordan Syatt will say this. He's like, if you are not looking back at your old programming and cringing over it, like we're not evolving. And that's a problem. And that's true. Like I think back to when I first started, it's like, I cannot believe the workouts that I put people through or the things that I said to them, you know, but over time, yes, I did develop that skill of being able to develop or make people feel comfortable, you know, being a good communicator. So I think that has translated over very well to getting on the phone and, like, you know, selling my services. What I don't like to do, I don't like to market. I don't like to get on Instagram stories and be like, here's why you should work with me. You know, that to me is still uncomfortable for some reason. I'm working on it. I know it's part of the business. You know, you got to be uncomfortable. And But yeah, I don't mind actually getting on the phone with people and having those calls. I do not do Zoom. I probably should. So thank you for.
Yeah, I think you'd crush it on Zoom sales
Yeah.
calls. Yeah,
Oh,
for
I
sure.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's something that I need to consider, like always, again, just like improving your service, right? Because people like that connection and they like seeing you, not just hearing you. So
Mhm.
yeah,
I found
very
too, like
good.
with COVID, like we were seeing other people less anyway. So I
Hmm.
think one of my business coaches was like, try Zoom calls, see how they go.
Hmm.
Like I think I was on a hot streak of like 3 people in a row through Zoom. He's like, just Zoom it. I'm like,
Yep.
okay. So now it's just standard practice, whether they're in Ontario or Canada or not. I'm like, let's hop on a Zoom. We can look at each other. It's the trust factor too. Again, like I said, the fitness industry is wild. You never really know who you're going to get. I don't
Sure.
know if you find that as well on your end of things. I know it's funny with online coaches, like we all have different kind of like targets and areas, but we all kind of cross over here and there too. Like if you follow Marci, you follow Sohi, Jordan, Chad,
Yeah.
Kim, maybe
Yeah.
me if I fall in that realm of like upper echelon Instagram fitness. But
Yeah.
yeah.
It's so funny. I was just messaging with Chad yesterday. I had not talked to him for a long time. And yeah, so we all kind of run in that same circle. And it's been amazing. Like, I am so grateful to have started this because I have made some of the most amazing friendships like through Instagram. Seriously. And I know people will laugh at that and like roll their eyes, like, oh, they're Instagram friends. They're not real friends. It's like, no, these people have gotten me through some of like the most difficult times in my adult life. And had it not been for them, like, I don't know where I would be right now. Like, I would feel, I mean, I just felt so loved and supported and all of that. So, and, you know,
100%.
I went to Europe with Sam and Sarah, the girls who I used to do the podcast with, that I met through Instagram, you know, so there is something to it. And I think during COVID, especially when, you know, I may not even be able to see my friend who lives down the street in person, but I can connect with, you know, someone on the other side of the world. That's pretty amazing, you know.
100%.
But like to your point about the snake oil salesman and whatnot, I mean, yes, they are definitely still out there. I find that I've really curated my Instagram feed and who I follow to only be people who I feel are, whose message I want to hear or whose
Nice.
message I want to believe in. So interesting though, because going back to my first business coach, Jill, she will say, you know, follow people who you don't believe in because like that gives you good content. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, let them infiltrate your mind necessarily, but you can use that to what she says, like draw a line in the sand. Because I think a lot of us are like saying the same thing, right? Oh, eat your protein, get your vegetables, go on your walks, strength train, sleep, manage stress. Like, okay, like very important message, but like also kind of a little vanilla. So, how can you really stand out? And you can stand out by drawing that line in the sand to say, okay, here's what I'm seeing over here. And that's complete bullshit. That's snake oil salesman trying to take your money. So here's what you should do instead, you know?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, but still, like, you know, I'll get on the phone with people, potential clients, and they're telling me about these diets they're doing. I was like, I have never even heard of that because I don't really bring it into my space.
Yeah. I very much I've curated my Facebook feed, my Instagram feed. I've unfollowed a whole lot of people, muted people just to kind of give myself clear headspace
Mhm,
too. Because then
mhm.
even coaches that I love, such as yourself and a bunch of other coaches we've already talked about, even sometimes I can't look at what you guys are doing because it kind of plays on my head of like, okay, but I'm not doing that. Should I be doing that? Like I start to get that comparison factor, which anyone who's trying to get in shape, you've probably faced this as well. Whereas you're looking at your own journey, then you're looking at someone else's, and you're like, well, I don't look like that. Maybe I should do what they're doing. Don't.
Mhm.
Like, if you have a process that you're sticking to right now, stick to it, trust it, because I guarantee you the grass is not greener on the other side.
Yeah,
Everyone's journey through fitness, through business is different. So it's
true.
interesting. Like as much as the good information that we're putting out or trying to put out, if you ever been on any like fitness TikTok like thread of comments, oh my God, or
I
or
refuse.
some Facebook groups, like there's still so much work to be done. And I
Yeah.
don't think it'll ever be done just because of that's the way things are.
Yeah.
So it's not too hard because all the lines that we're drawing, the polarizing content, it hasn't really changed too much. They might come up with different names, like where it used to be Atkins. Now it's just like, it's just keto. There's
Keto.
other crap that it never goes away. The intermittent fasting magic, the body type diets, like all of this stuff, it keeps coming around. So the thing is, our job is just to keep putting out, even if sometimes it's vanilla, sometimes we get the polarizing, but just keep hitting people with good content is all we can really do.
Oh yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with vanilla if it's the right message, but it's like, how can you, I guess, use it as juxtaposition to like against what the nonsense that you were hearing.
Yeah.
So calling those people out, I guess is what I'm saying, to make your message like look a little less vanilla.
Sure.
If that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Without becoming just like slanderous type of account who just calls out other people.
Oh yeah, no. And
Yeah.
I really I don't do that necessarily. Like I will call bullshit on some things, but I would never, I'll talk about keto or like the quick fixes, the crash diets, but I don't necessarily, slam like Beachbody, even though I would want to, the actual entity itself or the person who is promoting it, I think that's not really my thing.
No.
Yeah, not my style. I have some integrity, I guess. I try to be a good person. But I hear what you're saying about the comparison too, because like I get caught in that trap all the time. Like how many times have I told myself, all right, you are not going to grab that phone first thing in the morning and start scrolling Instagram because you're going to go down the rabbit hole. And that is what sets the tone for your day. So, but I still do it sometimes, I fall into that trap and then I'm scrolling for 10 minutes, seeing what everybody else in the space is doing. Oh, look how articulate they were on their stories, or, oh, look how creative they are. Oh, that post was so good. The other thing too is this has been happening to me a lot lately, where I'll get an idea for something, whether it's like a reel or a post, and then I sit on it because maybe I just haven't had the time to write it out, to put it together. And then you look and someone else is used. And I'm like, no. But here's the thing. We all are saying the same basic information, but no one says it like you. No one has the same spin. And here's the other thing. I have hired business coaches or fitness coaches, nutritionists, whoever it may be, who may have the same exact message as somebody else, but the person that I hired, I just liked how they said it better.
Yep.
Or the other person, I'm like, yeah, you've got a great message, but there's something about you that just kind of rubs me the wrong way, or like I find irritating.
Yeah.
I don't want to be in your space, So yeah, it's all about the spin that you put on things, or just the way that you articulate it, your presence, all of that, just the way that you say something can be different than somebody else. And that's what is going to draw that person to you.
100%. I think everyone has, whether you believe in it yourself or not, like everyone has their own it factor. Doesn't matter if you think you have it or not. Like people will follow you and listen to you and hire you for a reason, whether you believe in yourself or you have imposter syndrome, whatever it is. Like a couple of years ago, I was deciding between a couple of business coaches, and they're both amazing, I'm sure. And like both their records are good, like for getting people results, but one of them just rubbed me the wrong way. And as much as I was like on the fence, I'm like, you know what? I don't really align with that person as a person. I'm sure their business stuff is great. So I went in another direction. I'm glad I did. It's fine. But fitness is the same thing. Like a bunch of, we can name 20 people probably off the top of our heads that we all come out and say pretty much the same thing. Eat your protein. You don't have to go low carb. You don't have to do hours of cardio workouts. You can eat pizza or donuts and still lose fat. Like all the good stuff that people need to hear, but people might be drawn to you for the way you say it. People might be drawn to me because maybe they have kids and they're like, I have kids and I can help them because they have kids. Like it's just, everyone has that different thing. So
yeah,
I kind of love that about where we are in 2021. through like all the COVID mess, and even though people are struggling with COVID stuff and post-COVID business and stuff, like we're still all able to share and build businesses and help people, which is what we're all here for anyways. Yeah, it's been kind of amazing.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, it's funny because to your point, I was watching a masterclass yesterday given by this business coach who I've been following for a while. And she started off doing nutrition coaching. And then now she's kind of done, the usual, I'm going to be a nutrition coach and then I'm going to go into business coaching. So I liked her message when I started following her, and then she just started to rub me the wrong way. It was like nails on a chalkboard. She has tons of energy. And I'm an introvert. I'm a little more subdued. I'm not someone who just comes on my stories and like puts my whole life out there and with like tons of like energy and all that. So I think that just kind of annoyed me in a sense. Mm-hmm. Right. And like nothing to do, like not anything against her. It just wasn't like my vibe in a sense. So I started unfollowing her. And then I started following her again, and she's got a great message. So she's a mix of what I call the practical and the spiritual.
Okay.
When it comes to business, or when it comes to fitness and nutrition, I say like the spiritual and the scientific. So that is what I am. I'm a mix of, yes, let's, do the like eat enough protein, strength train, calorie deficit. Like that's the very practical scientific side of things. But then I'm also a little bit like woo-woo, right? So talking about how more so like your mindset, your belief system, all of that, like that really does play a role into the results that you get. So where I'm going with this is I was watching her masterclass last night, and everything that she was saying was great, but she gets on the call and she's like literally screaming with excitement, like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. And I was like, oh God. Like I had to like mute her for a minute and like fast forward until she like really got into the message. And like, I think because of that, like I liked what she had to say, the message resonated, but because she and I are so different on like a vibrational or energetic frequency, I don't think she would be the best coach for me. Fair. And my current business coach, her business is, coaching for introverts, empaths, and highly sensitive people. There you go. So I watch her stories, and her content is very similar. She has the same message, but she talks like this, and she's just, like that's more my vibe. Mm-hmm. So same message, just different delivery system.
Yeah. So you align with, which is good. Because I think some people, I guess, force it, or they hire someone because they have 1 million followers on Instagram or whatever it is. But the horror stories I've heard from some of the more like up there accounts, it's not good. And honestly, like, and one of my clients, he messaged me a couple months ago, and this always stuck out. He's like, he's happy with the program. He's happy with his results so far, but he said, I'm so happy that it's you. It's not me talking to someone that you hired to get to you. It's like, I know with Strong John Fitness, I'm getting John. And I like that because it's one-to-one, which is interesting because again, like most of the people who are in online coaching, you coach clients and then you coach other coaches on how to coach. And then you just go down the line of like being this super coach. But I don't know if I'd ever give up the reins. Maybe I'm too type A for that, or I want to have control. But I like the sales calls. I don't mind doing the marketing. I don't mind doing the admin. I guess the admin I can probably push to someone else, but sure. I like to be the face. I don't know how you feel about that.
Oh, I agree 100%. And it's interesting because that's what Chad and I were talking about yesterday, because he had shared in his stories that he is doing things a little bit differently with his business. And he says, oh, it's been really helpful because I feel more of a connection to my clients. So I'm always interested in learning what other people are doing. And I reached out to him and was like, hey, would you mind sharing what this switch is that you made? And he said, oh, I switched to using WhatsApp for all of my client communication. Yeah. So he was doing only email for a long time. And it was taking him a lot longer, and he didn't feel like he was really connecting as well with the clients. And that was comforting for me to hear, because that's how I do all of my communication. Is I use WhatsApp for my international clients, but I use text message for my people in the US, and they will submit a weekly check-in, I read it, but I will respond to them via voice message so that they can hear my tone, my intonation, because things can get lost in translation over text message
100%.
or email.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say something that comes across very, loving or supportive on my end, but they read it completely differently.
Yeah.
So yes, that is what I do. And I think it is incredibly helpful. And so Chad was saying that he doesn't have an assistant coach yet, even though he has a lot of clients, but that he has bought more of his own time back by outsourcing the sales calls.
Okay.
And he's like, for right now it's working because I have more time, but I don't know yet how well it's working.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I would ever want to outsource my sales calls because I want to know who is on the other end.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? Like, do I vibe with you? Do we have a good rapport? Or can I tell that you're going to be a complete pain in the ass?
Exactly. Yeah.
So
Huge.
I think it's really important. Yes. Are there things that you can outsource? Your admin, your whatever it might be, for you, the podcast production, something like that. Just an example, but when it comes to the communication with the client, yeah, I want to know who I'm talking to. And on the other end, I think that they do too, because what if they sign up via this conversation that they're having with my salesperson, and then they hear me and they're like, oh God, she's annoying as hell. It's again, like going back to what we were saying, when we hire our own coaches, I'm sure that people feel the same way on the other end. So making 100%. Sure that it's a win-win for both people. I'm curious, who is your business coach?
Right now, so I'm legacy level with OTA 2, so Online Trainer Academy, John Goodman and company.
Yeah.
Love them. Mm-hmm. Everything they put out is amazing.
Amazing.
It's funny you bring up the sales call thing. So like when I worked at LA Fitness, there was the guy that ran the sales there and then would pass them off to trainers. One of my clients was disappointed because he thought the sales guy was going to be his coach. So, but I was his trainer because we didn't do the sales, right? So I can't imagine like not talking to someone before we work together.
Right.
The sales call, people like, oh, I don't want to waste your time. Like, just tell me how much it is. I'm like, it's not about what the cost is. It's about us getting to know each other. If we're going to be even a good fit, because we can hop on the phone. I've had calls that lasted 10 minutes because we weren't a fit, and there's nothing wrong with that, both for the client and for me. So it's interesting that he's doing that, but to each his own. Like if it works for him, it works for him. Some coaches love it. Some coaches don't, but
whatever works for you. And some coaches are very successful with it.
Yeah.
So I recently took on my first assistant coach, and she's amazing. She does not do sales calls. I think she would be willing to. And she said, hey, if you want me to do a sales call, I can. I think maybe she's done one and it went fine. But for right now, I still am the face of the business. Like, it is Marci Nevin Fitness.
Of course.
And then Michaela is my assistant coach. But if someone reaches out to me, then I will respond. I will get on the call. And then I determine based on the call, are you better suited to work with me or Michaela? Or do I have time in my schedule? All of that. Mm-hmm. And it's been great. But, I still feel like we had this, and this is what you're always learning when you're in business. We had kind of a miscommunication with a new client recently where she thought that she was going to be getting to speak to Michaela on the phone. I was like, no, that is a different tier of service. So with Michaela, you only get, the check-ins via the client portal. With me, you get text access, you get biweekly phone calls if needed. So had she talked to Michaela on the phone right away, maybe that communication would not have got lost in translation, so to speak.
Yeah.
But also the thing that we decided, Michaela and I, is okay, moving forward, Marci will do the sales call. And if someone decides that they want to sign up with Michaela, then she at least does an initial onboarding call to develop that rapport and connection, so that it's not just, through email.
Just like passing them off. Yeah. Which is good. I mean, especially generationally, like I have clients that range from like 23 years old to 60 years old. And they text different, they email different. Like the older generation, they might sound like they're pissed in a message, but when you talk to them, they're happy with everything
Oh
because
my
like
gosh, that
getting the
happened.
emotion across is tough.
That happened to me a couple last week. I got this client. She's fairly new. She's been with me now, I think 7 weeks. Same thing. So I have this client portal that I'm using, which I don't love it, but it is what it is. And I try to text message her or voice message her, and she won't respond to me. And then she sent me an email last week through the portal where she did not seem very happy. And I said, okay, do you want to get on a call? She said, yeah, that would be great. So I am like sweating bullets on the other end. Like, oh my gosh, what is she going to say? So prepared. Yeah. And she was nothing but sweet on the other end, you know?
Funny how that works.
Yeah, no, it's important, but anyway, good stuff.
Definitely. Unfortunately, I have a hard stop at 2. We're definitely going to have a follow-up like for months from now.
We didn't even talk like real fitness.
I know. Yeah. So we're definitely going to have a part 2 at some point. But as it's amazing talking to you, especially like this. I know we've messaged quite a bit through Instagram, but let everyone know where they can find you. I'm sure many people do, because if you follow me, you probably follow Marci. I mean, you'd be silly not to, but let everyone know how they can find you, what you got going on, what's coming up for you.
Oh gosh, I don't have a whole lot going on, just still in the trenches, coaching one-on-one clients. Again, I have my new assistant, Michaela, which has been great. So we are thinking about doing a group program in the near future, and then my podcast, Decades of Strength, which you can still find on iTunes. It's great. It has great content. We've been doing it for a year. Or we did it for a year. We're no longer doing it anymore, but I am in the works talking to some other ladies about starting a new podcast, which I would love because it was my favorite part of the business.
Nice.
So whether it's, I do one myself or do one with these other ladies, we'll see. But yeah, right now it's mainly just one-on-one coaching. And then you can find me at Marci Nevin on Instagram. That's really where I spend the most time, to be honest with you. I'm not doing the Facebook thing.
That's okay. I'm on Facebook, so everyone can follow me on Facebook, but Instagram is definitely where most of the content goes out. And if you want good content, Marci's the account to follow for sure.
And maybe one day I'll get on the TikTok bandwagon, but
I don't think you're missing out.
Are you on it?
I'm like on it. I made like 4 videos.
Okay.
But
again, so Jordan, one of my current business coaches, he's like, you got to be on TikTok. You got to be on TikTok. And people have exploded and got lots of business. But I was like, you know what? One thing at a time. I've got a lot going on right now. So not trying to spread myself too thin.
Exactly. Like if your energy is already well spent on Instagram and you're doing well and you're successful, you don't need to jump into other platforms. I think that's just shiny object syndrome at that point.
And that'll be a topic for our next conversation because the same applies to your fitness and nutrition, right?
Definitely. I'm looking forward to that one. Thanks again for taking the time, Marci.
Absolutely. It was great.
All right. Take care.
All right, John. Bye.